Welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And dude, this feels like this came up so fast. Does this feel like this is quicker than these movies have ever come out? Because we're getting DCU new movie, and it felt like it was literally like a month ago that we had World War II, Justice Society.
Yeah, no, these things are coming out like fast and hard, and you know when the next one's coming out, when part 2's coming out, right?
Yeah, you said it was coming out in July already.
Yeah, July 27th is when the next one's coming out. So at least they know, like, some were like Dark Knight Returns. We all knew how it was going to end because we read the book, but at the same time, it's just like, God, I got to wait like whole other fucking 6 months for that thing. Now it's like, no, you don't got to wait long. It's like, cool, you guys are doing the Matrix Reloaded thing. You only have to wait like, I think like, well, actually no, DVD-wise, it came out like a week after the DVD came out, but you get the idea.
Yeah, I mean, The Matrix Reloaded, I think that's one of those ones that, like, it makes it feel like it only came out, like, 3 months after, but what it really was, I think it was, like, a 6-month difference, but at that time period, that was, like, ridiculous. It's like, that movie came out that quick after it?
For a theatrical movie, yeah.
You know,
but,
never saw
even
stuff
this,
like
though.
that before.
But for this to just come out, like, a month later, so, I'll say this, like, Long Halloween is and always has been one of my favorite Batman books. It might be my favorite. Looking through it again, there is like some logic gaps in a few spots. That being said, though, the art style, the characterization is all awesome. And it's definitely one of my favorite books that really kind of gets all the characters down pretty well and expands on a character like Carmine Falcone as well, too.
Yeah, exactly. I've always thought that Batman: The Long Halloween, I think that that's the greatest, like, if someone says, hey, I kind of want to get a little bit more deeper into Batman, this is the book you hand them. I feel like it's one of those ones. I mean, I guess you are kind of giving them, like, the best of the best at first, but I also feel like it's one of those ones. It's an easy book to jump in because there's not too bizarre of characters in there. Yet, at the same time, if you didn't know some of these ones, you might be able to get a little bit more depth on them and so on like that. But for the most part, you know, you get all, like, the heavy hitters that you would have saw in the movies. But then it goes into more detail, and you get this long, nice story. I feel like it's just a great gateway book for all that stuff.
Yeah, I think every so often there are those books that are great sampler platters for people. Like, I think you have the books that are just kind of like, you can... It depends on how much people like reading, ultimately, at the end of the day. It's like, what do you think their tolerance for Batman is? And how much do they enjoy reading? The two things you got to keep in mind. Long Halloween, for how thick that book is, because it's 13 issues, that thing might take, if you don't like reading, that might be a bit of a thick dick to choke down. But if you don't mind reading and you're open to Batman, it's a perfect sample platter because it has most of his major villains at the time, plus 2 or 3 obscure villains that can help lead you in. Then you have, say, something like Hush, which, same length, same writer, but at the same time, once again, a sample platter of, okay, we're going to introduce this new villain, but we're going to have a bunch of classic villains along the way, keep you up on some Batman history that happened and just quickly dismiss it, and then, like, throw 2 or 3 characters you don't, like, 2 or 3 deep-cut characters in there as well.
Yeah, it's not like you're handing somebody No Man's Land or something like that, like...
War games.
Yeah, those ones would be the ones that be so confusing right off the bat.
Like, I think, honestly, easier one to hand someone would be something like Killing Joke, or maybe even, like, even though there's history behind it, Court of Owls, just because it's a very Batman-centric story where he's just dealing with the Court of Owls. Like, and he occasionally bumps shoulders with Nightwing, you know, but... I think there are those stories that were, you know, to variations. And back to the main thing, Long Halloween is one that we've both wanted for a long time.
Yeah, because I just remember, like, when DC, every single time that they have their little movie, like, hey, do you mind filling out this survey? And it's like, yes, I will. And I go through and I put it all in there. And I remember for a while they kept bullying you. Like, dude, come on, do you really like that DVD that comes with your Blu-ray? I'm like, yeah, I like that DVD that comes with my Blu-ray. Like, yeah, but it's just, I mean, are you going to watch it? Probably not, but I want it.
Good to have. You never know when you might need it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You know, we're saying you're not even going to watch it, probably. You're just going to watch the Blu-ray. I'm like, well, they were kind of nice back then. Well, if I go to someone else doesn't have the Blu-ray player? You know, I mean, like, you know, it's nice to have that DVD, you know? And then, of course, they didn't listen to my opinion because they just got rid of the DVDs, like, in the last, like, 6 months.
Well, now it feels like, even though I went out and bought the Blu-ray for this, now it feels like oh, bring that movie over. You gotta depends on whose house you're going to, because by this point, a lot of people don't even have a Blu-ray player. They just stream everything.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, let me bring my DVD or my Blu-ray player over and whatnot and so on. But no, in that survey though, they've always kind of asked like, hey, what are the movies you want to see next? You know, and sometimes they'll have a list of like 20 films. It's like, hey, this is our pick. So pretty much, you know, and then they'd also have the fill in the blank, which would always be Traveling Heroes. If you got my fill in the blank spot, I've said Traveling Heroes every single time. But Long Halloween, I used to have to fill that in, and then it started appearing on there, so it made me feel like, oh, okay, cool. That means that might be in closer. So check. And I think that finally got it kind of going.
Well, if they ever do maybe when the Green Lantern HBO show comes out, or if they ever do a Green Arrow movie or a Green Lantern movie down the line, I mean theatrically, or HBO Max, whatever. Maybe by then they might consider Traveling Heroes, and you know, in all honesty, thinking about who sends those things in, you're one card out of the 5 that probably go into that pile. The guys who job the count on that, like, someone is fucking persistent. Like, well, if we're grading on a curve,
yeah, this guy is, because I put that in, because I mostly fill them out every single time, just because I really want that Traveling Heroes movie. That's like how much effort I feel like, you know. I mean, there's other things in there too. It's like, you know, I feel like doing my part of like helping the DCU, but like, believe me, what I'm really looking forward to is that blank spot where I get to write Traveling Heroes in.
Here's my question. Well, Traveling Heroes is very much a story I think you can adapt to today, you know, because right then it was kind of like a white dude looking out the window like, wait a minute, you mean there's injustice in the world? Huh.
And then, of course, then there's Green Arrow being like, dude, don't you understand, man? I've been living with these people, like, you know, for the last week. Like, yeah, but you're a millionaire. People. Yeah, but, you know, who needs money, really? You know what I mean?
He's like, these are my people. He puts his hand on the shoulder of a black dude. The black dude just moves away.
Oh, man, don't be like that. I will never come on. I did. It's okay.
I love Green Arrow, but there is sometimes those things where he's like white knighting a little too hard. Like there's the thing where there's like the one picture where he's like dressed like in the Native American like war headdress, and he's just like, die, white devil, you know. So
yeah, well, just the funny part too. It's just like, wait a second. Like, if someone like asked him, like, well, how did you get here and stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like, well, were you poor? Did you like? Oh no, I was a fucking billionaire. Like shit. Like, you know what? Not one day, you know, I was like 28 years old, and I was just like, you know, money kind of sucks. So, you know, I just kind of left it behind. Got myself a nice apartment, that is. I mean, I wasn't going to fucking settle for less, but, you know, I mean, a couple blocks away from the ghetto, so I was still kind of in the safe zone. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and if, worst case scenario, if I'm a little bit late on the rent, you know, I just make the phone call and that problem goes away.
Or it's even like, just imagine. It's like, this is a very local joke, but it's like kind of like someone in San Francisco saying like, oh yeah, man, I live right in the heart of the Tenderloin. Like, you live on Geary. You're like the very edge of the Tenderloin. You're not like on Eddy or anything like that.
Well, yeah, because that's that thing, though. It's like, you could literally, it's like every street you go up in San Francisco, it just gets progressively nicer. You know, and every street you go down, it gets progressively more torn up. You know, more like, next thing you know, you're like, is that guy literally selling like a TV that says brand new and it's got like the turn dials on it on his window?
Well, it is also like, we won't stay harped on this too long, but it literally, that sounds like something like a production designer or like conceptual artist would have come up with for some kind of allegory while creating like a world within like a movie or a video game or something. But that's literally San Francisco. Yeah. It's literally what San Francisco is. But yeah,
as far as you learn that in life, that like you see that like anywhere. If there's like in a sense a mountain, for some reason, I don't know why it always is, there's always like the poor people are down at the bottom of the mountain, and at the top of the mountain the richer ones. I mean, like I've even just seen that like where there's a trailer park around the bottom, and as you go up, the houses get progressively nicer. Like, oh, okay, I see how this system's working.
But just even the stark difference over there is just like, wow, really? You know. But anyway, going back to this though, going to Gotham rather than San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I can say this before we go too far into the story and we think of it and all that. I liked it. I wanted to love it, but I just liked it. But I think the thing is, it feels more of like half a movie, which it literally does say part one on it.
Yeah.
So it does leave me kind of like, shit, that's it? But I mean, I kind of knew that was going to happen. And it doesn't have like a big, like, there's a big dramatic moment near the end, but it's not like this, like, big oomph, maybe a little bit of an oomph if you know the comic. But I'm really looking forward to the next one, but I almost think that this probably will be more rewarding once you watch it as two, as long as the second part doesn't fuck it up.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely the case. I think it is one of those, because in a sense, this is the build-up movie. You know what I mean? It's that one that's like, it's here to get the story started, kind of get your characters introduced and so on, but it's not really where everything starts coming together. And, you know, they almost feel like they kind of did it, like, in a sense where, at least in the movie, I feel, compared to the comic, it's been a while since I read the comic. I really think, you know what we should do, is when the second one comes out, we should reread the comic again, and the second one, and kind of have the whole, like, plethora of that all coming together.
Yeah. I think that would be a good idea to do. I haven't read the comic in years.
Yeah,
not completely in years. It's one of those books that I'll grab, I'll flip through every once in a while, and read favorite parts out of it. It's not one I, like, reread over and over. I hardly ever do that with any of the comics I have, but that is one that I will pick up and read parts of it. And going off it, without spoiling anything of... We'll get into spoilers later. Without spoiling anything in the comic, there is, like, a logic gap, because, slight spoilers, there's more than one killer, but all these killers are working independently of each other, and there's no point when... How would they know when to switch off? How come multiple killings don't happen at the same time? So that's the one little problem with the logic of this book. But the movies... The way this movie ends, they might be changing that. Who knows what it is by the end of this, you know?
Yeah, because I really do think it's going to be something different at the end of the movie than it is the book, you know. But it feels like in this part one, they're almost giving it the very, like, grounded sort of, like, you know, other than, like, the Joker kind of coming in at the end. And, I mean, you see some other characters, but it's almost like this is all focused on kind of the mobster type characters. You know, you got Falcone, you know, and this one they sort of almost like I think it's the Maroni family. But instead, they started
the Falcone family.
No, what's the other family? Not the Falcones.
The other family is the Maroni family.
Yeah, the Maroni family. Did they? Because they made them kind of almost like they were like Yakuza or Triad in this one.
No, they just hired the Triad for some reason. That was something new, because that was...
Okay, because I knew that, because before, which actually I kind of like that more, because instead it was just all, like, Italian mobsters, so, you know, they kind of run together a little bit, let's just say, you know, so I felt like the fact that they threw in, like, some Triad Yakuza type guys, it was like, it made it kind of stand out a little bit. It kind of, you know, added in, you know, a little bit of a kung fu action scene and so on in there.
Like, if you have it is a little bit more condensed, and if you do have, like, all the major points of the book, this hits that. It just approaches things a little differently. Mm-hmm. Like this, like, for instance, he might fight this villain or that villain just a little bit later, where he does, as opposed to the comic, or like when Batman's chasing down the guy that Solomon Grundy, he bumps into Solomon Grundy in the sewer. He doesn't have like a big badass fight scene in Chinatown with a great gang of Triad guys. I think he might get in a scuffle with some guys, but ultimately it's just a chase where he's following this guy. I think somebody just was like, we got to throw in some action beats, and let's remind people it's a superhero movie. So rather than just like dopes with guns, throw in some guys with nunchucks and swords.
I think that kind of had it, but that almost kind of, I felt, worked in the favor, at least for like the movie part of it, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other thing too that I felt like that was kind of interesting, that I just don't remember exactly that it was in the book, but maybe it sort of was. But in this one, they kind of give it like, hey, like this is like, you know, Batman, you know, he's been fighting crime for a while, but he's just now realizing that, you know, sometimes a fist doesn't always solve all the problems, and then you gotta do the paperwork. And I like how Gordon's even just kind of like, yo, you know, this. You're good at throwing a fist, but, you know, at some point, you're going to have to write a report. Batman don't write reports. Batman throw fish, and crime gets solved. Now, you know what? Those criminals are hanging up on that clock tower, and I know that looks like a challenge to you guys because it's raining and snowing out right now, and nobody wants to go out on, like, the 100th floor to go get them.
But at the same time,
that opens up, you know, the clockmaker can come out over to, you know, whatever the clock keeper of the house, you know, it's like a fucking lighthouse in the middle of town. I don't know what the fuck he does, but...
Why do we even still have that thing? We all have a fucking watch. We all have a fucking smartphone by now.
Shit.
But it's like that whole part, like, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think they brought in that Batman was still new to it. I'll say here's one thing: I loved Tim Sale is one of my favorite artists of all time, and I love the way he draws Batman. But that does not look like Batman on his second or third year. That looks like Batman, like he's been the way he draws Batman in the movie. It looks fine. He is just like a giant walking mass of muscle in the comic. Like, he is intimidating as fuck. I mean, maybe like less square than like Frank Miller's Batman,
but
he's
90s jacked, you know. Well, I will say,
yeah,
the animated movie, the animation in it's amazing, and I really do like this kind of new style they're doing and everything like that. And I just like how like you can almost freeze frame it, and it does look like came in the book. But at the same time, it's like I kind of I was flipping through Long Halloween just get the kind of reminder of some of the scenes, and then you're like, when you look at that Tim Sale artwork, it's like I almost wish there was like the heavy metal version where they just sort of drew the artwork the way that it sort of looked by Tim Sale, because I think that could, as an artistic movie, would look amazing. Like if they were just a little bit drawn up that over the top hard shadows. I mean, the Joker grin pretty much stretching from like one side of the page to the next. You know what I mean? Just like the over, like where you have massively huge characters and almost like ridiculously like skinny, lanky characters and so on. Catwoman having her big giant, like, 90s hair. Like, I think a lot of that would be pretty cool to see just in motion.
They did a good job, or Tim Sale did a good job of drawing the characters in such a way where it's like, it's like, because usually you'll see him like, okay, dude's smart, so he's got glasses and he's scrawny. Dude's big and strong, so, he's really buff. But he did things to, like, their personalities came out through more of their appearance. Like, Scarecrow was a lot more lanky, really tall, kind of gangly. Riddler was really small and really kind of nebbish. There is like they all like really stood out in different ways. And Joker had that ridiculous grin, like that crazy ass jawline. But and at the same time though, in this, you can see hints of it. Like you can see that even in this, the character is still like overly drawn. He has a long jaw that protrudes outward and still has those piano key looking teeth. But at the same time, it's not like to the same level of what Tim Sale does. Now that doesn't ruin it for me.
No.
Is it a preference? Is it a preference that they made it look more like Tim Sale's artwork? Yeah, it's a preference, but it doesn't ruin for me because this artwork still looks amazing.
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah, because the artwork's so good as it is, but you just kind of look and you just kind of have a what if kind of like. I feel like if you just had just one of those, like almost like when you picture like how Aeon Flux was sort of drawn, where it's like just so like hardcore artistic and bizarre, I felt like that could almost work for this. But maybe they'd be like, well, wait a second, are we trying to do an art piece here? Or are we going to try to do like our detective story? And I get it, they want to fit in sort of like the animated series kind of like look and style, and not saying there's anything wrong there, but like it would be kind of interesting to see a very like experimental Batman animation movie like with that kind of style.
Yeah, I think they're trying to lead these in to be connected, like the last one, like the last series of films, because this is the same style as Justice Society WW2, same style as Batman, as a Superman,
what was
Unbound, or what was it? Unbound or
Superman
Unleashed, maybe.
No, wait, because
I'm mixing up Unbound. Unbound's the Brainiac one.
Yeah, that's the one that. Yeah, I can't remember exactly.
Man of Tomorrow.
Man of Tomorrow. None of that.
Yeah. I think that this one right here, I think they are going to try and connect these as they go down the line. And there's even some things they changed, and all the kind of changes sort of happen near the end, so you don't realize it. Like, here's where I guess we'll get into some spoilers for a second. One of the biggest changes is that Selina Kyle knows who Bruce Wayne is, because this is still a very early point where they haven't revealed that information. And if you're watching the movie, you don't really know it until, like, there might be some, like, subtle, like, coy, like, I know you're up to something, But then you get to the very end, and she's like, Bruce! Like, and then she's like, oh, fuck, Yeah,
damn it, woman, now we have to kill this guy. You know what I mean? Like,
we have to kill the nerd.
I like him. I was going to have him come over and, clean the viruses off my PC. But now, I guess we just got...
They taught you that at Oxford, right?
Yeah. But now I'm just going to have to chuck him over the edge and hopefully hope that he falls into, like, the propeller. because Batman can't kill, but a boat can.
It's not me, it's gravity that's killing him.
Yeah, and a diesel engine.
So here's the thing in the book, for spoilers for the book here. Alberto Falcone's son, is one of the killers, and we're meant to believe he's the only killer for a second, but there's more than one killer, and he is the main one. Now, the end of this, in the book, it happens where you think he's dead, or they try to make you think he's dead, because a gunshot happens, and then then his body goes over the board of the water, and he's never found until he pops up at the end.
Yeah.
This one, they're trying to they are doing a major bait and switch, because there's stuff they're kind of telegraphing from miles away. They're telegraphing a lot of shit. So I'm like, oh, you're not really hiding it so much, which makes me wonder, are you going to follow through if you're trying to make me think of it like that? Kind of like what they did with Hush, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the end of this, I mean, Catwoman kind of spills the beans of Bruce's, because Catwoman wasn't there when Alberto Falcone died.
Yeah.
And this, she is. When Batman props down, she's like, Bruce! And then he's like, wait, Bruce Wayne, what the fuck? And then, somebody who's, I guess, the real holiday killer is on top of the second floor of the yacht, shoots at him, then he falls down. And here's the one thing, I know more than likely he's probably dead, but I'm wondering if there is going to be some over-elaborate hopes, because we see him go down, and we don't see him hit the propeller. We just see him go down, then we just see shit come up from the propeller and blood. So for all we know, that could have been another bait and switch. They kind of planned that, possibly. But I doubt it. I really doubt it, but maybe. You don't know.
Yeah. I felt like that was there to erase that part, so I was like, oh shit, now who's it going to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it is going to be, I feel like it's going to be somebody else, but on the chance that they're really trying to, get, because there's that part, when you're reading Hush for the first time, you're like, well, I'm pretty sure it's Tommy Elliott. Oh, they killed Tommy Elliott, so I guess it's not him. Oh, that was Clayface. Yeah, it is Tommy Elliott. Okay.
Yeah, they pull one of those.
I could see it maybe being something like that, possibly, but we'll see. But the thing about Alberto Falcone in this one, because before, I remember reading the book, he was just kind of weaselly and kind of mentally off.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this, I did feel bad for him.
There's a part, because it's there's a couple parts where just he's sitting there at the big mob table and so on like that, and Falcone's just oh, that's such a great time and so on like that, and he looks at his son, he's like, what are you doing? You doing fucking crossword puzzles there? He's like, no, Dad, these are I don't know, I can't remember what it was, but it was something
logic
else.
Puzzles.
Yeah, it was a logic puzzle like that. Fucking gay. Come on, son, stop doing that. Slaps him out of his hand almost and so on like that.
It's just go do your coloring book outside.
But Dad, it's a lot of shit. Yeah. Sent you to Oxford for 8 fucking years, and that's what you came back with, was a fucking coloring book? Look, you're writing out, you can't even color inside the lines. Dad, it's in black and white, and they're letters. Yeah, exactly. Where's the color even? Jesus Christ, son.
Your daughter Sophia, she always colors in the lines.
Ah, jeez.
Or my daughter Sophia, your sister Sophia.
I got confused sometimes, you know what I mean? I don't know why, but got a lot on my mind.
Because one of my kids I love, one of them I hate. So you think it'd be easier to keep it straight, but no.
And I just
Get the fuck out.
There's the other part they're on the boat, and Falcone's like, okay, I want to bring out somebody. He's a big part of the family, and maybe we don't always get along. Maybe we don't always have the right ideas, but, he's there, and I think he's a real true member. I think he really is going to bring a great honor to this family. And then you see, Alberto's like, oh, he's calling me out. Steps forward a couple times, I want to congratulate. Been there the whole time. See eye to eye, even though we're kind of off and so on. But, he's been there like a son for me. Bruce Wayne, come on out!
Get up here, motherfucker!
Out of the way, Alberto!
Alberto, move. Take your fucking crosswords with you.
Yeah.
Coloring book, whatever the fuck.
You're in the way of the camera. I don't want fucking the TV to see you and me together.
There is that thing, because I want to say that there's a flashback, maybe not in Long Halloween, but maybe in Dark Victory, which is the sequel book, of Falcone beating Alberto or something like that. But at the same time, though, I don't think it really drove home as much as it did in this movie. He said one or two dismissive things, I think, to him in the book. At least going off my memory.
Yeah.
But this one, it really like, oh, dude, I totally get it. If you do follow through with this, I totally get it. But then they have the whole bait and switch at the end, which makes you think like, oh God. And there's even that Luke and Leia moment because if you remember, Selena, Catwoman's dad, is Falcone. So there's that whole part right there when like Albert and she's asking questions. So what's it like to be in the family? You know, trying to like kind of poke around like what's our dad like? And then just like he's going for the kiss, like whoa, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no Alabama shit going on here.
Yeah, and who knows if they'll bring that up in this one, but you never know. It kind of has that feeling too when you sort of see that.
I think that's why she was so like put off, like whoa, we can't, you know. Other than like, you know,
him being like, just a creepy looking nerd guy.
Yeah, could just be that.
Yeah.
But she just seemed kind of like very like genuine with him for a minute. But no, I just was like, we can never, no, you know. But I just think it is. What if it was like, no, we're totally not related. He just fucking look at him, look at me. No, couldn't happen. Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. One of those kind of moments and so on. But then you know, I guess kind of with that too, then you know, you get the whole Harvey Dent storyline. And it's one of those ones, I guess, like this is one of those ones. Here's the thing: if this was like the first Batman book you kind of read, and you didn't really know too much about who Harvey Dent was. Maybe you knew who Two-Face was, but you didn't know the whole connection there. You could see this being leading into being like something really cool. But I guess this was like, you know, the boy Harvey Dent. So he's like, dude, it's Harvey Dent. We all know he's gonna turn back at some point, or he's gonna turn into him. So you know, a real bait and switch would be like he doesn't turn into Two-Face. That would be the one that would really surprise me.
If I didn't already see concept art of the next one, I'd be like, maybe would it be ballsy if they didn't do it? What if it's Gilda becomes Two-Face? But at the same time, yeah, that whole the whole Harvey Dent thing. I remember going to see Dark Knight and being in a crowded theater filled with people who were amped for the movie, but I could tell most of them never read a comic.
Yeah.
And then the second, when Harvey Dent's face caught on fire, there was like 4 or 5 audible gasps. Like, oh fuck, he's that guy, you know.
Yeah.
Which that was like a cool, like, I mean, not like I knew, but and it was kind of cool seeing people put that together and being caught off guard with it, you know.
Yeah, because it's like one of those ones, like, because you know, for the average Joe's like knowledge, if you're just going off of movies and so on, you know, in Batman Forever, that Harvey Dent thing's explained really fast. So it like the name Harvey Dent probably just goes out the window for those people there, you know.
Exactly. It just sounds like another name if you don't really know it. And I was gonna say, I don't remember. I know that there is a little bit of like marital trouble with Gilda and Harvey in the book, but not to this level. Like I don't remember them fighting this much, which is another like possible bait and switch thing, you know?
Yeah, because that's what it definitely was. You know, I remember them having the problem like, oh, I can't have kids, Harvey. Whoa! Like Harvey's like, oh, I'm DA, like shit, like, you know what I mean?
Well, bye, kid.
I'll go down to the fire department. People drop them off there all the time. Shit, we could have our pick of them. Like, what country you want them from?
If the fire department doesn't work, we'll go down to the juvie center and just say, take your pick.
Yeah, but I ain't paying no premium price for a child. I want one of those ones where there's like some mother in Walmart handing out her child for free. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's a mutt or whatnot. Like, I ain't paying. I'm not going to like no PetSmart of children paying that supreme price. Yeah, I know I got DA money, but that money's for me. Oh, and you too. Yeah, you too. Yeah.
Did they get this from a breeder? Shit.
Yeah, can I get the paperwork on this kid?
Actually, no. Keep the paperwork. We're fine. We're good.
Yeah.
How long is it gonna take you to draw up? Yeah, fuck that. No, we'll go. All right, we'll go.
Yeah, is it a thoroughbred? Yeah, but this one though, they're like arguing all the time, even to the point where like when there's like Gordon and like, you know, Barbara Gordon's wife. It's like one of those most confusing things ever. It's like, why does Gordon have to like Gordon and Barbara, and then it's like, well, we're gonna name our kids. We're gonna name them like Jim Jr. and, you know, Barbara.
Yeah, that they didn't put a lot of thought into that whole thing.
No, it's just like one of those ones like, you know what? When we sign our names for a Christmas card, I want it to be real easy so that we don't make a mistake.
Oh shit! I put Jim 4 times. God damn it!
Sorry, at first I thought we were gonna name all the kids Jim.
And my name? Well, I get confused. You know me.
You know, Barbara. I thought you were
long day.
I thought you were gonna change your name to Jim. I thought we were all gonna be a Jim in this house.
How many crime scenes where I've accidentally inhaled just a little bit of Joker venom or a little bit of Scarecrow toxin? Cut me some fucking slack.
But yeah, but even like Gilda and Harvey are like having that argument like on New Year's there, and you know, I like how like you would think that like even like Gordon and like Barbara would be like, well, you know what, maybe we'll just let them be. It's like, no, I want to hear this, honey.
We just have this even like Harvey's like, can we have this conversation like somewhere else? Like, no, right now, no, let them watch. Like, oh, God damn it! I remember. I know Gilda's going through some shit, but I remember her being like way more likable in the book.
Yeah, and this one, it's just like one of those ones like, geez, I see why Harvey stays out late at night. You know what I mean? Understand whatnot, but yeah, there's that, and then there's even kind of moments I think too where like they have I can't remember if it's because some of these things I just don't remember just because it's been a while since I've read this book last, you know, but almost where even Harvey or not Harvey, but Gordon and Barbara have arguments too, like when there's like, you know, Batgirl and fucking Jim Jr. You know, they're like, yeah, we're gonna go trick or treating or whatnot, and then Jim's like, oh, I gotta go to fucking work, kids. Yeah. You go bitch and cry up in your room. Guess what? How do you think you got that fucking room? Yeah, Dad had to go to work. Get over it.
Dad had to shoot some gangbangers.
Yeah.
Now he's got a promotion. What?
Yeah, what? Don't call me Disney, Dad. Fuck you. Stop watching that shit. You know what? We're canceling the Disney Plus. How do you like that? Happy fucking Halloween.
And I'm burning your copy of Blank Check.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's favorite 90s Disney movie.
Yeah, no Jungle to Jungle in this house.
Is that the Tim Allen one?
Yeah.
No Elephant Dumbo drop either.
I think Jungle to Jungle is the Tim Allen one where he goes out into the jungle and finds the
Tarzan or
finds
whatever.
the whitest kid out there and brings him home.
Well, it's his kid.
Oh yeah, I guess that's right.
His ex-wife was like a missionary, and he's like, I'm a businessman, business, but I gotta go to the jungle for some fucking reason. That's your kid. That's my fucking kid. Ah, you know.
Why is he half naked and throwing a spear and swinging on a vine? Wait a second. No. My son's a savage. How is he ever gonna work on Wall Street now?
Oh yeah, he's still me. He's still my son.
It's Jungle to Jungle, rated PG.
It was totally that movie.
But
speaking of stupid shit, let me just get this out of the way. I was checking the IMDb trivia for this thing, and sometimes I'm going into a movie.
This movie's like been out for like a couple of days, and it's like fucking there's IMDb trivia on it already.
And usually, like I remember, I usually don't check the IMDb trivia, but this one I was just like, all right, well, since this is becoming a recurring trend on IMDb trivia, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see if there's any of this for here. I wonder if it's the same people saying this shit. So here's the thing: when I think trivia, I think weird coincidences or funny stories, things you wouldn't know otherwise. If it's blatantly said in the movie, or it's on the poster, or on the fucking trailer, it's not trivia.
Yeah.
I don't view it as trivia. If they blatantly say it, I don't think it's fucking trivia. And I don't know. I just want to take. I don't need to stop the show dead, but I just want to bring a few things up. Okay. I'm gonna read it in the voice that I imagine it was written in. Okay.
Okay.
Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1 will be available on 4K HD Ultra Combo Pack later in 2022. It's combined presentation with film Batman: Long Halloween Part 2.
Yes, we expect it to come together because The Dark Knight Returns came together at some point.
Inspired by the iconic mid-1990s DC comic story by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale.
Yes, thank you. It says that in the opening credits.
There's a few in here.
This is little. Okay. They dropped the special ed kid off to like write down fucking notes at like the, like the movie screening.
I don't even think it's the special ed kid. I feel like this is just the kid who just didn't do the homework and just like fuck, like what's right in front of me. Well, Batman: Long Halloween received PG-13 from Motion Picture Association. Part 2 receives rating R for some violent, bloody images. Why not sad? If you look at these things, like 16 out of 16 people found this interesting.
That's the saddest part.
16!
Can you do the thing where you say, like, hey, this is stupid? Like, is there a thing to check that?
I wish there was. No.
I felt like there used to be like this is like, you know.
Here's one that's like, this isn't really super interesting, but it's like, okay, Josh Duhamel and Titus Welliver both worked on the Transformers film series. 3 out of 5 people found that interesting. Okay, whatever.
I always think those ones are kind of weird though
else,
too. It's just like when people like try to put connections, like this actor and this actor were on the same set at one point in time beforehand. Isn't that funny? Like it's like, no, that's not fucking trivia. That's yes. Actors work with other actors at other times in life. Big, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really that big of a jump, but I guess it's like, okay, it's not in the movie. It's not said, maybe not common knowledge, so okay, whatever. I mean, we scrolled up through IMDb or whatever. It's just the thing with says like Jeph Loeb and Tim Sell, they're in the fucking opening credits, you know. So it's just like, you know, and these movies always have long opening credit scenes. Just saying. So yeah, that's I just had to get that out of the way. IMDb, fucking. Make a fucking test to make if you could solve this puzzle, then you could fucking post on the trivia form.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be a little bit more of a filter that kind of goes through, because I'm really thinking that there's just not. I bet you anybody can go on there. You know,
not usually someone likes to come in and just kick down, but god damn it, this has been popping up way more frequently on everything I go on IMDb.
Yeah, it's almost why sometimes I just don't look at it nearly as often anymore. I kind of feel like I'll just, there's other places to go.
I used to. I used to, especially if we had a retrospect or something. But
yeah. Sometimes the older stuff, not nearly as bad, but you know. Yeah, yeah. These newer ones have these goofy ones kind of coming up and so on, but yeah, kind of like going back to Batman along Halloween and so on like that. Yeah, they've got these kind of just interesting kind of build-ups of like, you know, Batman kind of learned the detective game. Everybody kind of giving him fucking shit that he's not good enough as a detective. You know, he's got to like kind of start working on this and so on. That's like the one thing I definitely do notice.
Yeah, well, I want to say that there's mistakes he made here and there, and ultimately Long Halloween is about mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But at the exact same time, I remember it being... I remember I don't remember the whole thing about him not being the greatest detective popping up yet. Like, he's good at what he does, he just maybe doesn't have the experience of it yet. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I remember the book, where this one is just like, look, I just want to punch some fuckers and scare him. Now I actually got to pull out a magnifying glass and shit.
Yeah, he gets like, I fucking realized that there was a Sherlock Holmes shit coming in here. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is when they kind of have the Joker come in, I kind of like, there's these little like light things that the Joker, like, I like the Joker makes mistakes, but then just kind of goes, whatever. Like, he'll fire a gun and just keep clicking it till the bullets are out. It's like, oh, the bullets are out. How about that? And he does that a couple times. And then even like when he, like, I like the scene when he goes to drop the gas on everybody when he's in the plane towards the end. And so on like that. It's like, what the fuck? The lever doesn't work and so on. Then he has to pull the manual. He's like, oh, silly me. like I forgot to take the safety valve off. You know what I mean? But like, it's almost that sort of thing that like, it shows that the Joker just kind of is kind of willy-nilly going through this. Like, you know, like almost like there's a little bit of like these logic gaps, like that he just doesn't care to learn. I don't think it's not that he could. It's just he doesn't care to. It's like, I don't care to count how many bullets are in this clip. I just keep firing until it empties, and then that tells me that I got to change it, you know?
Yeah, he's kind of like Captain Ron. If it happens, it's going to happen out there. Kind of thing.
Yeah. He's like flying by the seat of his pants in a sense, realistically.
Troy Baker did a great job as Joker. Now, I think when you have the phlegm, oh, it is I, Joker. Whenever you have that, you can't help but kind of imagine Mark Hamill, but Troy Baker still does a good job.
Oh, yeah, because that's how I kind of noticed in, like, the last while, everybody's kind of, before it used to be like, oh, I got to do my own Joker. It's like, can't be Jack Nicholson, can't be, you know, Mark Hamill, can't be this. I think nowadays people are coming like, fuck it, just be Mark Hamill. Everybody loves Mark Hamill. Just put your own, like, slight twist on it, but it's really just, because that's how I feel like the last handful of Jokers have just been kind of like a variation of Mark Hamill, but that's not a bad thing, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. One who I thought did a pretty good job, who I thought was a character I'd just be very dismissive of, but did come off kind of like creepy and off-putting, was the
Calendar Man.
Calendar Man. That dude. That's actually the guy who he's gonna be playing. He's gonna be playing Polka Dot Man in the new Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
He was the crazy Arkham inmate that tried to shoot at Gordon in Dark Knight. That Harvey Dent was flipping the coin with, and he was the Russian dude in Ant-Man's crew in the Ant-Man movies.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah, because
dude's had been part of some comic stuff.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing about, I will say there's a couple characters in this that I felt like the voice was sort of like off, and then there's other characters that were really good. Like I don't know what it was. It's almost like even like Alberto Falcone. Like I felt like the voice didn't fit nearly as well. Like I don't know. Maybe that's just like you just get to a point where it's just like, hey, it just sounds like a kid trying to do an older guy's voice, sort of thing. You know. And there was a couple characters in here that were kind of like that. It's not saying it was like totally off-putting, but like it just had that slight like there were some of these like tougher characters who would almost had that feeling like, is that like a it felt weird, but it's like, is that a 20-year-old trying to be like a 40-year-old being tough? Like that's what I sort of felt with some of these characters in there. You know, I felt like that's just that old man point you finally get to in life when you kind of go, wait a second, it's a fucking kid over there trying to do that voice. How'd he get this job?
I didn't think Alberto was too bad. There's some like I want to say it's more like some of the side characters, like some of the, like the thugs. Like I want to see the Triad guys. Like I was not intimidated by the Triad guy's voice, but I think he was meant to be kind of weaselly though. So
yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. Not saying they were like totally bad, but they were just a little bit like off on a couple of the characters. I felt like, or they felt like certain characters that were older felt like you could tell there was like a youthful voice just trying to be old. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I guess for people who are tuning into this without reading the book and watching the movie, I guess something we forgot to mention is the whole theme of this book is, and the movie, is that takes place over the course of a year, and on every holiday, somebody is killed. Someone usually in the circle of the Falcone crime family is killed. And the thing with that is they're trying to figure out who, and who's likely, who's not likely, all this and that. And, well, there's a point I was going to make with it. There's somewhere I was going with this. Oh, yeah. I was going to say one thing about the movie is it doesn't seem to flow as smooth. Maybe because you're reading a comic, so you know it's each month.
Yeah.
It flows a little smoother. But I guess something about this is like, oh shit, we're already at November? We're already at December? You know what I mean? Because it really cuts to like, without really warning you until like the murder happens. Like, yep, that was Thanksgiving. Yep, that was Christmas.
Yeah, well, I think too it's because the book is kind of definitely, you get each issue's its own holiday, and there's kind of a drawn out story, and I think because it's based upon like almost like little mini episodes of that, where like the movie is like, okay, it's got to condense it a bit, like and so on like that, so it's going with a little bit more smoother pace, but that smoother pace almost makes it kind of feel like, yeah, you kind of hit those like, oh, here we are, like, you know, it's almost like you don't take it in the same way that you do like a singular issue, I guess.
I guess it feels weird though. This thing ends only 4 holidays in.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of, you know, where it did end, I'm like, well, okay, I kind of get it. It ends literally at the year mark. That, you know, even though I know that like technically Halloween there, and we got a lot more Halloween or a lot more holidays to go through coming up, but like I guess it makes sense. It ends on the middle point of the year, I guess, even though I know that's not the middle point of technically exactly yet, but I was like, okay, I kind of see that. Some of the weird things, though, is like certain characters, though I could tell that they're going to come up in the next one, but it's kind of like the Carla lady. Like, she always felt like she was in it throughout the whole thing, and she's really not in this one at all.
Carla?
Or who's the big fat... the big fat blonde chick that's...
Carmine Falcone's sister, right?
Yeah, who mostly was always just talking smack. It just felt like that, just talking crap the whole time. Like, she's not really in this one, like, at all. She's there in the background, of course, but she really is... I don't even know if she even has a line in this one, to tell you the truth.
She might have, like, a small line in passing, but she comes in all pissed off, like, you know, like, I should be running this thing. I run our Chicago division. I know what we're doing over here. Not only that, you got my son killed. Fuck you, you know? So
yeah.
They round in, like, there's a part... I'm not sure if they're going to do it in the next one, but there's a part where they actually hire the Riddler... Falcone hires the Riddler to break down and give up every possible lead of who the holiday killer could be. And he even says Carla at some point, and he explains why, but then, you know, of course, it's not Carla. But at the same time, though, yeah, she's taken a back seat. I could see them not really utilizing her other than maybe 1 or 2 scenes the next one, because they have a lot more villains they got to put in, and they also got to rework this whole new... or maybe she's the holiday killer, possibly, or one of them, because that clearly wasn't her in the fucking trench coat running around. And I don't think that's Harvey Dent, because he was still... I don't know if he could have gotten from Town Square over to that boat in time. So, who knows? Yeah,
I think they're trying to lead you in with a lot of different things like that. But it is that kind of thing. I think the next one's just going to be the explosiveness of, like, all those characters coming together. Because really, in this one, we got Falcone... We got Harvey Dent. We got Joker, but that's kind of about it, you know. We haven't really touched on a whole lot. I mean, you see Solomon Grundy for a second. Batman's like, "Here's Thanksgiving. This keeps you out of trouble."
Did you see the post-credit scene?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it's, you know, when they got the, you know, Falcone's at Alberto's funeral and whatnot, and then he's like, "Yo, Bruce, check out my new lady," and it's like, "Oh, it's Poison Ivy. Oh, fuck."
Yeah. Well, something about that. Both Long Halloween and Dark Victory are about, you know, the shifting of tides of Gotham, where it's like, okay, this is from where we basically became like, yeah, Gotham's a city with trouble, but it had organized crime was the trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got freaks. We got freaks in Halloween. We got freaks in Halloween costumes, and they're on the far fringes of crime. And now they're starting to move in more because of Batman and because of Harvey Dent. So I think that's another. I really hope the second movie makes more of a point of that. And I also think that they are picking from other books here and there, just like little nods and references, because there's the third book, which is more of just a fun anthology story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Haunted Night.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, because there's technically, I feel like there's almost like 4, because then there's also that Catwoman one that kind of like is that similar, like the When in Rome one.
I need to read that book, and of course, like last time I saw, I'm like, I'll get it another time, and now that book's like $120 used. So I'm like, fuck. That's like the only Tim Sale, Jeph Loeb book I don't have. I have every other
That's
book
one of those
that he worked
ones
on.
I bought it once on Comixology when it was like $4.99 on sale. I was like, okay.
Oh, that. I mean, I guess I guess I could do that, but I like being a materialistic asshole and having the physical copy. I'm just weird that way. I'm happy knowing a tree died and a squirrel lost his home, I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no.
But
I like that just as much too, but it's also those ones like, well, $4.99. I ain't gonna
eventually got to read it.
Yeah.
No, that's the only Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale story I haven't, where they've worked together that I've not read. I have all their DC stuff and all their Marvel stuff. That's the only one that I've yet to get. But yeah, no. What was I gonna say? Haunted Night. There's like somewhere in there. There's a story about. It's more or less meant to be a retelling of a Christmas story, but it's on Halloween. And it's Batman as Ebenezer Scrooge, and like what the meaning of Halloween is really about. And there's that part where he's just like, Alfred, why are we doing fucking Halloween? Halloween's fucking stupid, you know? Mm-hmm. And then that's where he gets like the visit from the 3 different ghosts and they're different villains just posing as this or posing as that in his dreams. And but then I think they kind of make a light reference to that because Batman says that to Alfred, like, stupid Alfred, why do we have the gate open? Why are you giving up candy? God!
Yeah, because they got that kind of moment in there. And so I also like, too, because then, like, as that kind of conversation's going on, when Batman goes to say something else, he turns around, and Alfred's already gone, like, out of there. It's like, why would you do that to me?
We know who Bruce gets it from.
Yeah, it's just a family thing. It's a family
It's that
tradition.
MI6 training.
Yeah, just disappear. But yeah, no, so there is all kinds of cool stuff coming. I really do think that it's kind of just like the Dark Knight one, too. It's like, that was the same way that one kind of was. When the first one came out, you're like, it's cool. They do a little bit of changes. There's not as much change as this one as I felt like there was in the Dark Knight Returns one. But you're like, okay, let's just kind of go along, let's see where it goes. And then I felt like, boom, you hit the second one. It's like, okay, the second one really brings it all around.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that they're doing that with this one because, or they're even putting as much detail in this one just because it seems like, how do I put it? Like, Dark Knight Returns, I love Dark Knight Returns, but at the same time, I'm like, we can make references to other stories by this point. You know, but there's that period in time where just like, oh, look, it's really square-jawed, like, angry, pissed-off Frank Miller Batman, which sounds cool, and you see that, like, a figure of that, or this or that, you know, just, oh, that's cool. But after a while, it's like, I fucking get it, you know? So now it's kind of like for Sonic fans, like, I get it. Green Hill Zone, chemical plant. I know. Where I'm like surprised that they're actually like, if you were to say they were doing a Long Halloween movie, like an animated one, I'd assume something a little bit more toned down and not as much put into it, in all honesty. Now, I mean, Dark Knight Returns is still one of the best, is probably, I think, my favorite of the, put them together, my favorite of the animated Batman movies. But at the same time, I'm surprised because I feel like Long Halloween is one of those ones that's like one of the last big stories, but it's also one of the ones a lot of people have kind of forgotten about. Not Batman fans, but just people. Oh yeah, that one. You know.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of, I think for like the hardcore fans, it definitely is a big, huge book and so on like that. But yeah, it felt like it was kind of like the Dark Knight Returns thing. That was definitely the one. What felt like for the longest time, filmmakers, that was about one of the only books that they ever picked up. They picked up that one in year one, and that's how they kept making the movies. It's like, okay, that's cool, but like. I felt like this one's like, that's that thing where it's like, yeah, that's cool. We all like that one, but the hardcore fans like a lot more. I mean, same thing of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like the hardcore fans like, it's not just all about Sonic 1 and 2. We like the other ones too, even, maybe not every single one, but like there's quite a bit more material you can pick from, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that as these go on, they'll definitely. I mean, the next one, I'm wondering what the twist is going to be. I'm not trying to put too much thought or too much investment into, oh, it's got to be this or it's got to be that, but I'm kind of wondering what it could be. I'm hoping it's not too far to left field. Like when it comes to Batman Hush, I still like that movie, and logically, what they do makes sense. But the only thing is, it's like, well, Hush himself is a different character. He's not like a variation of the Riddler.
Yeah, that's how I always sort of felt like that. And oddly enough, I felt like Hush was another one that, like, I wish they would have gave it the two-parters treatment, because that book, I mean, it's just as thick as these other ones. I mean, granted, like, with Jim Lee, you get a little bit more splash pages and so on than the average guy, but, I felt that one kind of got, not really a half-ass treatment, but it kind of got that thing where it's like, here it is, it's a singular movie, we'll just throw it into that Batman continuity, so we're not going to give it kind of its own unique flavor. It's going to be just part of, like, the main, like, I felt like that one sort of got, they should have gave that one a little bit more grandeur one, which I'm glad with at least Long Halloween. They're like, no, we're going to treat this like a prestige film. It's going to get the two-parters. We're really going to put the effort into it and so on. So I think this one, the second part, will definitely turn out real swell.
Yeah, I think so too. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I got high hopes for it. What'd you think of the DC showcase of this one, The Losers?
The Losers? Well, because this is one of those ones I was like, I wonder what they're going to have on this one since it's so quick and so on. And I was like, I kind of forgot. It's like, oh yeah, The Losers is a DC property. That always felt like that was one of those ones that fit into like one of those like third, fourth party kind of comic book companies like Valiant or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those ones where it came out when it did, which I don't know if it was as far back as the 40s, but that's when it takes place. Mm-hmm. But I know it's a Jack Kirby creation.
Yeah.
And then they did the revamp, which is like a weird mercenary team, like over-the-top mercenary team kind of thing. So it might be... I have no idea. I've never read a book of it. I never saw the movie either.
Yeah.
So...
It's one of those ones...
I was kind of whatever about the short.
Yeah, I will say this one wasn't as strong, but it was still kind of interesting. I still enjoyed it. I mean, they're battling dinosaurs. How am I not gonna like that? I mean, that's you already you got me in the door with World War II and dinosaurs. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's already pretty good. I mean, this one's a little bit shorter than the other ones. It's like only like 16 minutes, not like 20 minutes or so. But it's just like, hey, here's these group of like hardcore Marines or what have you being sitting in on a special assignment that there's no coming back from, and they got that Chinese counterpart, but it's World War II, so she's probably going to turn on them, but they don't know that yet. But give it about 5 minutes and they're going to figure out why. Believe me, once she killed that poor Spinosaurus that guy was trying to pet, oh, it's fucking over.
Well, here's the thing with it. I'm just kind of like, concept-wise, World War II team Marines lands on like Land of the Lost Island, or whatever, or Bermuda Triangle. I'm sold. You already got me. But I guess for being something that's only like 15 minutes long, and then you do this whole like suicide mission thing, just like, we're gonna kill the fucking dog too. I was like, I don't give a fuck. It was one of those things. Pooch. I felt bad. It's like, yeah, I was like, I don't know. It was one of those things, like, if this was the movie, like a hour-and-a-half movie or even a 2-hour movie, and we saw it all go on, but 15 minutes is too quick and done for me to really give a shit, and especially thinking about, like, I don't know who these characters are, but I'm sure they have a lot of books, and it's people who know those, like, oh, you killed them like that quickly? Ah, fuck,
Yeah, I mean, that's granted. I mean, that's always sort of the downfall to shorts, because also, too, is because they treat the shorts like they're almost movies, but then it's like that thing where it's like, you give them this long opening credit, and then it's like, oh, shit, we got 10 minutes more to wrap this up. Come on, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it is, I mean, when they're 20 minutes long, the way I look at it, it's like, okay, that's just an episode length. That's like a Justice League episode. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of could. I feel like you can still tell a pretty good tale in that time period when it's just that ever so slightly, like it just needs just that little bit more to kind of get in there. And I'm not saying like I actually still enjoyed it. I don't think it's nearly as good as like Commandy or some of the other ones that came out recently. But
Commandy was good.
Yeah, like that one was really good. That still got across a lot in there in that short amount of time. You know, I mean, many of these shorts, I mean, practically all of them. I would love to see the hour and a half version of them. You know, that would be sweet. You know, because in animation, you know, an hour and a half is like the equivalent of like 2 hours of like live action. You know, just things just get by. Much more stuff can happen much quicker in that kind of sense. But yeah, it is kind of over a little bit quick. I mean, yeah, you get dinosaurs, you get World War II guys, so on. You know, you get a Chinese lady trying to capture the power, and America's like, no way. You know, if anybody's gonna get the power, it ain't gonna be China. That's for one. It could be America. It makes me kind of work. Now it's almost like there's always that one country I feel like in life. It's like whoever's kind of like sort of the enemy is like the one that you can kind of go fuck you guys. You know what I mean? But you can't like that's about the only place you can kind of say it at. You know, and even like certain movies kind of get switched around because it's like sort of like that. You know, like Red Dawn, the remake one, like that was originally supposed to be Chinese, and it's like, oh shit, okay, China's not so bad, but oh fuck it, there's Koreans, we'll just switch it to them instead. Digitally add in some Korean flags in there, and we'll call it good.
It's like, wait, we just realized something. If we make the bad guys China, we can't get any of the Chinese market. Fuck!
Yeah, it's like, well Korea's ain't gonna
Like, it took them that long to realize that.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, nobody likes Korea at the moment, so that's okay. Well, unless you're Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman loves Korea, but you know. I mean, who wouldn't if you're gonna go over there and shoot basketball and ride jet skis and fire nuclear bombs? Of course you would love it.
He's our ambassador to Korea right now, basically. It's one of those things where, just going off this one, though, I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't even dislike it. I was just kind of like, you know, I really should give a shit, because it's a cool concept, but I just don't. And I think it's not just this, but I think that compiled with everything else leading up to this. I'm like, oh, you killed the fucking dog? I don't give a fuck. Yeah,
that doesn't bother me anymore in movies. It sounds weird. Like, that used to bother me when I was a kid, but nowadays I don't know. I've just felt like I've gotten older. It's like, shit dies.
Yeah, it depends on the movie, though. It depends on the movie and what we're doing. Like, the dog in, like, No Country for Old Men, like, the part when, like, you know, there's a dog chasing down Josh Brolin, he shoots the dog, like, that's not going to kill it for me. I didn't know that fucking dog. But I spent time with Pooch. They made me like Pooch. And then Pooch dies so unceremoniously. And the whole team just like, you know. And then, like, you know, I Am Legend. They kill the dog, but it's within reason. I guess when you just kill a dog with no reason, then I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's just that stuff doesn't bother me anymore. It used, as I said, when I was a kid, that stuff would. But nowadays, I don't know. I mean, like, it used to even bother me in video games. I remember, like, in Wolfenstein 3D, I was like, I felt bad for shooting the dogs. Nowadays, I'd be like, fuck it, I'll go shoot all the dogs in the game. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, I did that. Depending, like, if it's going to make it easier for me on, like, Metal Gear Solid, yeah, I'll do it, you know. But yeah. It's a case-by-case basis. Like, John Wick, that's how the movie gets going. So I get that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I Am Legend, it's meant to be an emotional gut punch. So I get that. It's when I don't know, it just felt... Every death in that seems so dismissive. So I was just like, whatever. You know what I mean? That's kind of like how I felt about the Losers one. I didn't hate it, but I was just like, I wouldn't mind seeing the longer version to just give it time to breathe.
Well, I feel like with those shorts, though, that's the thing, is the guys going into it, they got the passion that they're making a feature-length movie. They just only got the length of, like, an episode. And I think that's that's sort of the downfall. Is the guys got the passion. I see what they're doing. They're going with it like they're making a full-on movie and then just cutting it down. But you sometimes need... There's a reason why you have that... There's a reason why movies are generally an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's like... It's to fill in all those little blanks and make you care more and, you know, give you more reason to know what's going on.
Exactly, yeah. And speaking of the length of this is like... These movies have slowly been going up. Like, for a while, like, okay, they're like an hour and 5 minutes. Hour and, like, 15. And they're like, no, this one's, like, basically an hour and a half. This one.
Yeah.
So they've been that for, like, a little while now. But that's the thing, though. It's like, oh, wow, this isn't, like, beating on the bush, though. This is, like, a full hour and a half movie now. So they've come a long way.
Yeah, because realistically, if you make an animated movie an hour and a half, I mean, that literally is the equivalent of, like, a 2 hour long like live action movie. You could get just as much stuff in, because a live action movie always just everything's just drawn out a little bit longer. Just I don't know, just because it's live action. Something about animation can just happen faster and so on. But I will say with The Losers, though, that did make me kind of a little bit more interested in it, because I never really knew anything about it. I just kind of heard of them. Like, I'm like, no way am I buying a ticket. I don't want to be the guy in the movie theater going like, hey, can I get a ticket for The Losers? And the guy be like, of course you can. And be like, fuck you, man. Be like, yeah, what are you going to do? I'm behind this glass wall. You ain't going to break in here. I was like, oh, I...
Shit, he's right. You lose.
Yeah.
Fuck, you got me again.
Because that guy at the movie theater could talk so much fucking shit. What are you going to do? He's behind that fucking bulletproof glass window. Like, you ain't going to do... nothing you can do.
Like, you see, like, fucking, like, bullet smear marks, like, on the window from past people who've tried.
Yeah. So it's like, that's why I sort of felt like, it's like, no, I ain't going to see that movie because of that. Like, there was, like, that weird, like... It's always it's weird how, like, just buying the ticket itself, you don't want to be like, oh, one for the losers.
Well, know? Even like, yeah. Well, even that
doing,
right
like,
there.
Two for the losers.
I'll take the World War II team over the weird like A-Team ripoff that other movie looked like.
Yeah, because that's sort of what that looked like. I mean, I will say I'm slightly more interested in it because of this, but if it was a World War II one, I would have been sold like 10 times more. If it was just like like superhero and Glorious Bastards, I would have been fine with that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's. I have never read a book of it, so I don't know. It could just be a name only. Wouldn't surprise me if it was like, okay, one of the people or the head of the team is like descendant of like the general from that or something to that effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if they
just a rough guess.
If they have a little bit, some they probably have some tie in that movie, but yeah, all in all, like this is a pretty sweet DC package. I mean. You get a full-length great movie. You get a little extra short just for a bonus. We didn't used to get these shorts, so you kids should be fucking grateful. You know what I mean? These movies used to just come out by themselves, some special features and so on. This one actually, though, oddly enough, didn't have as much special features on. It was actually probably the least amount of special features I've seen on a DCU one in a long time. But
yeah, I guess like, hey, look, do you want a full-length hour-and-a-half movie? Special features, come on.
Yeah,
make it, yeah.
I feel like they're probably waiting for the second part to kind of give it because it's like, well, might as well have the thing done before we talk really in depth about it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Now I wonder how many speculation videos are going to pop up, like, well, who is the holiday killer if it's not Alberto? But I guess we'll find out as time goes on. I don't really watch those things just because because they were usually always wrong, or it's something so obvious you'd see from a mile away. So
yeah, I'll let the movie tell me what it is. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out that. Put a little link in the description here. Go see Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1. Beyond all that fun stuff, you can go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comic books like Pizza Boys, and all that fun stuff. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
Hey, we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.